Startups with Stu is a podcast for anyone living or wanting to live the startup life, either as a founder or a team member. Your host, Stuart Draper, was a 9-time Inc. 5000 honoree before age 40. This show dives deep into the exhilarating world of entrepreneurship with guests that are seeking advice from Stu for their startup or business owners that want to share their entrepreneurial journey. Listeners always walk away with actionable ideas of what to do to take their startup to the moon. Startup life can feel like a roller coaster ride. And with Startups with Stu, you're likely to turn your roller coaster ride into a rocket ship ride. Get ready to uncover the secrets to startup success from visionary founders and savvy investors who've transformed groundbreaking ideas into thriving ventures.
This episode is brought to you today by PodUp. PodUp.com is the leading all-in-one AI-powered podcasting software. If you've ever considered having a podcast, want to get started, go to podup.com and check it out. I produce my podcast, use a variety of tools and producers that help me get everything done that I'm doing. Podallies.com is the agency I choose. If you're interested in having a podcast, you don't want to do it yourself through podup.com, I highly recommend that you go check out podallies.com and schedule a strategy call with one of their production specialists. They will be able to help you and think through everything you need to before you get started on your journey as a podcaster. On Startups with Stu, we like to talk to founders of all shapes and sizes and genders. Fun to have a female with us today. Today with us, we have Mrs. Whitney Rigby. Whitney, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
I'm so glad that we get to do this after a lot of technical difficulties on both of our ends. Hey, look, sometimes founders are good at products. Sometimes they're good at the tech side of the business. We got it all figured out and we are live and loaded here. So Whitney, you are the mother of 4 and the founder of Magnetic Hair Design. Tell us about the genesis of both the family life and the business life.
Oh man, it's a lot sometimes, but it's good. It's the way I'd have it be. But yeah, we have 4 kids and they're all really still pretty young. My oldest is a year and a half old. And luckily, me and my husband, we got married pretty young, which good and bad. But I was engaged by 18, married at 19, first baby by 20. And hindsight, I'm so grateful that I've finished having kids now where we're at with our business, because it'd be really hard to be starting right now and being, pregnant back to back, moving forward with our business where we're at. But yeah, it's been a good balance most of the time, but every once in a while it gets a little overwhelming, but what do you do?
So if you're married, engaged at 18, married at 19, baby at 20, like that had to have been the dream. You were living the dream of building a family and you're still doing that. Was entrepreneurship also the dream?
It's funny because back in high school, I was like FBLA president, which is Future Business Leaders of America. And my teacher actually had nominated me for the business scholarship. So I actually got the Jordan Alumni Scholarship for business. And it was funny because I didn't really have major dreams of starting a business. I always thought it'd be really cool too, but I could never think of a product or something to start that felt unique enough to actually do anything with. So my plan at that point was just to go to beauty school. So I was like, I'm going to go to beauty school and do that. And then after that is when things kind of, situations happened and decided to create a business. But my husband actually is very entrepreneur minded. He was actually in the University of Utah incubator for a different product he was starting to create when I was told to basically create this product. And I can tell you more of that story if you want, but yeah.
So you were told to create this. Someone came to you like, Whitney, you have to do this. Is that right?
Well, okay. So this is where it kind of gets interesting. So basically this is what happened. So I had gone to hair school. After hair school, I started apprenticing with a celebrity stylist. And I thought, I'm going to move to LA and do celebrity hair. And so that was my goal, what I was working towards. And after apprenticing with this celebrity stylist for a while, I was like, it's so awesome. I had some really amazing opportunities and doors were opening. But at the end of the day, I was like, this is not a very good family life balance. And people that I had talked to and stuff who were in the industry doing what I was wanting to do had some really unfortunate relationship problems that I just didn't want in my marriage or with my kids. And so after doing, that for a little bit and realizing that that's what my future probably held, I was like, I got to change my situation and my path. And so I stopped apprenticing and I was like praying about it a ton. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I really want to do something big with my career. I don't want to just sit and do hair behind a chair. I really want to do something big. And my husband's a huge dreamer as well. We're both like very entrepreneurial spirited. And so we were both praying about it a ton. And literally one day, months after doing this, I was in my parents' kitchen by myself making a quesadilla. No one else was home. It was dead silent. And literally out of nowhere, I heard a male voice speak to me. And it said, you need to create magnetic hair extensions. And I immediately was like, mind blown. Like, I was like, that for sure was God talking to me because no one else is home. I didn't hear, like, no one else. Like, could have been anyone else. So I immediately started Googling it and nothing was pulling up. And I was like, holy crap, I think this is exactly what I'm supposed to do with my life is create these extensions. And so I called my husband and he was immediately on board. He's like, yeah, that's genius. So I ran to like Home Depot and I bought magnets and I ran to the beauty supply store and I bought tape and extensions. And I just went home and I started kind of playing with it like right after. And I was like, this concept is working. I just need to like fine tune the crap out of it. And so that's kind of how that happened. But so it's weird because it's hard because for me, I'm like, I don't feel like I can say that I thought of this because I didn't. It was like God told me to do this. And so, yeah, that's why I say I was told to do it.
That is so cool and inspiring to me. On Startups with Stu, we talk about taking your startup to the moon. And Whitney, whether you think of the moon as $1 billion business or $1 million business, it won't matter if you really are doing what God wants you to do. Totally. You will always be satisfied and happy and content with where it goes, knowing you're pursuing something that you believe God wants you to do. And so congratulations, and what a blessing to feel that it was so inspired like that.
100%. And I think that's for me, the biggest thing is there's been times within the journey that you're like, oh my gosh, like you just have this self-doubt creep in, like, can I actually do this? Or, will people love it? Which is so funny because I've never once in my entire time creating the product, doing our MVP launch, anything, I've never once had one person tell me not to do this ever. Like never. If anything, it's the exact opposite. It's like, holy cow, this is amazing. Can I invest? And that's more the approach we get. It's wild. I've never once had someone not tell me not to pursue this.
So can I invest? What's the answer to that question?
Yeah. It's funny because even day one, when I actually had that, the inspiration from God, I guess you could say, by that night, my dad was on a phone call with this one friend who was like super high up in Nike. And his friend, my dad was telling him about my situation. And my dad's like, what do you think she should do? Do you have any advice? And he was like, 100%. Tell her she needs to patent this and I want to invest. And I want to see a prototype in 3 weeks, which, by the way, prototype didn't happen. It took 6 years to develop. It was not 3 weeks. But yeah, so immediately, like day one, we had people that were like asking to be a part of it. And we've bootstrapped basically the whole way. We've taken a little bit of money from my father-in-law and a little bit from my brother, but that's basically been it. And we're kind of to the point now that we're like, do we take on investors or do we not? You're trying to just navigate what the best case scenario would be. But so it's hard because we've gone in ways where we thought for sure we'll pull on an investor. And the other times we're like, well, maybe we don't, I don't know. Okay, that's where I love any insights you have.
Yeah, well, I think taking money becomes a certain thing where really full well you need to, and then you go get it versus but so tell me about the timeline. I want to better understand the timeline to be able to help with some direction for you. So 6 years ago is when you have this inspirational moment. Is that right?
A little more than 6 years ago. Yeah, it's probably been closer to like 9 years now.
Okay, so 2014, you're in a kitchen and you have the voice. You hear the voice.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Then you said in 2021 is kind of when you guys launched. Is that right?
Yes. So it took us 6 years to develop the product. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be, fine tuning it because I am in the beauty industry. I was like, I need this product to come out like strong. I cannot have a crap product on the market, especially for the only ones worldwide doing this. And so it was a lot of fine tuning, which is why it took so long. We thought we'd nail it at one point and then we would test it for a few months with people and photo shoots and buying the product and things like that, and realize, oh crap, like the glue's not strong enough, or like we need to get different magnets or whatever. And so it was just a lot of fine tuning there. And then what we actually were doing about 2020 is we weren't even going to create our own brand with it. We were literally just going to license it to like some massive hair extension companies. And that was our plan. We had not created a name or anything for ourselves. And so at that point in 2020, we were like, hey, our product's really solid. This is good. We're ready to take it to the market. And I started approaching really large, massive hair extension companies to license it to. And I was getting really good responses, but one of them specifically that I felt incredibly drawn to, I reached out to the owners and they were like, hey, we really like your product. This seems really awesome. However, it's just really unfortunate timing right now, but maybe in the future. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's totally fine. Turns out that company was getting bought out at the time. And that's why it was not great timing, is because they were doing a bunch of shifting within their, you know, who even owns the company at that point. But yeah, so that kind of leads me into what happened in 2021 is, so in 2020, when we were thinking we were going to license it, I was basically like stalking this company who I wanted to license it to. They basically buy out all the large hair extension companies around the world. And I thought would be awesome if I can get in touch with the CEO that owns all these hair extension companies and license it through him and, you know, all of his people. Like, that'd be amazing. That'd be such a good royalty check, you know? Anyways, long story short, I didn't have a direct contact for the CEO, and I went to their Instagram page and was scrolling through, and I realized that one of their employees who ran one of their brands actually was my old boss at Forever 21 back in high school. No, and oh my gosh, I totally know who she is. Like, I was good friends with her back in high school, and when I worked with her for like 2 years. And so I actually reached out to her and was like, hey, like, I do not have a direct contact info to like your main CEO. Can I get like an email or something? And I told her a little bit about a product, and she's like, oh my gosh, can we hop on a call? And I was like, yeah. And so the next day we get on a call, and she's like, dude, like, don't even pitch this to the CEO yet. Like, pitch it to my company that we're running. We would love to like launch your product first. We want to serve it to our CEO on a silver platter once we have all the numbers and everything figured out. She's like, can you come pitch to me and my company next week? And I was like, yeah, totally. So I was like, all right. So we're getting ready to go do that over that weekend though. So that was like on a Friday, and on Sunday, we're pretty religious. So sorry, part of me is like, I have to tie it in because it's truly what happened. But we were just like fasting and praying on that Sunday that things would go really well with this meeting with this massive company on Wednesday. And the next day, my father-in-law calls me. He actually owns like a roller shade company. And he was like, hey, what is the CEO's name of that owns like all those hair extension companies? And I was like, oh, it's this and this. And he was like, huh, that's wild, because I was at his house over the weekend putting in roller shades in his like brand new multi-million-dollar house. And he's like, and I actually just so happened to ask his neighbor what this guy even did, because it was just like this wild chain of events. And I was like, how, like, what are the chances, you know? Yeah, right. And these guys do not live even in the same counties. Like, it's wild, like that he was even at his house. And so he's like the nicest guy. Do you want to just call him and like tell him about you guys? And I was like, well, obviously, like, let's do that, because no coincidence for sure. And so my father-in-law calls this main CEO and was like, hey, my daughter-in-law and son have created magnetic hair extensions. Would you be interested in meeting with them? And he's like, oh my gosh, I've actually heard of these. I would love to meet with them. Can they come to my house and pitch to me in 2 weeks? And, you know, he was like, yeah, they would love to. And so I was like, okay. Well, anyway, so we go to this meeting on Wednesday with one of his other companies. We are pitching to them. It's going really well. In walks the main CEO during the pitch. And I was like, Whitney, I'm so excited to meet you. This looks amazing. I can't wait to talk with you at my house in 2 weeks and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even told my old boss friend girl that I had this whole connection yet. And she was like, anyway. And so he leaves after a few minutes, and she's like, what happened? He's never walked into our meetings ever. And I was like, well, let me tell you. And so I told her like what happened. She's like, no, yeah, obviously, like, there's no chance that was just coincidence, you know? And so anyway, long story short, we go to his house 2 weeks later. It goes really well. We tell him we want to license the product. He's like, okay, like, get ready to pitch the entire board, which is like some massive, huge names on that board. He's like, I'd be happy to push it through for you guys. However, if I were you, I think you should make this your own brand and just let us or someone else buy you in the future because you'll make so much more money that way. And I was like, oh, yeah, we've thought about that, but no, thanks. I think we're going to just license it. And he's like, okay. He's like, totally up to you, but I'll mentor you if you want, like all these things. And I was like, okay. I was like, but no, we're good. Well, 2 weeks later goes by, COVID hits, shuts down like the entire world, and he reaches out and is like, hey, there's like a pause on everything we're doing right now anyways, just because we don't know what's going to happen with the market and everything. He's like, this is your time. Like, run, make it your brand, just do it. And I was like, okay, fine. And so yeah, we ended up making our own brand, and then we did an MVP launch into 2021, and that went really, really well. But that's kind of what happened there. And so, sorry, that was a very long way of getting to your question, and hopefully I even answered it. I just got on my tangent, but
no, you're so good. That's that right there, folks. If you're listening in and you're wondering why you're on year 3 and you've gone left and right and zigged and zagged, that's why right there. It's because life happens and there are things that are outside of your control and your team's control, and the people that are in your corner cheering for you and good men like him that are like, no, look out for your, like, I'd love you working with us, but I also understand that you're probably going to make more money not being our partner. Like, good for him. But like at the end of the day, even if he doesn't care one way or the other and he wants to help, life happens and then it doesn't matter. And he can't help you for now. And so you got to go to work and keep going, even when it doesn't go as dreamy and as perfect as it just feels like it must be going when everything.
I know.
Right. All those stars were aligning and it just felt like, oh my gosh, we hit the jackpot here. Right.
Totally. I was like, this is so meant to be. I can't even imagine another scenario. So then when it like COVID hit and everything stopped for a minute, I was like, what is happening? Like everything was going so well and it felt so meant to be. And then for it to like totally shift on us was like a curveball that it was discouraging for a minute there, just because you thought you were going down this one path and it was going perfectly. And then it curveballs you into another direction big time.
So how many times have you pitched to be on the show Shark Tank?
Oh gosh. Okay. So funny story. Once kind of. So someone else who was on Shark Tank saw me and my product at an event and was like, holy cow, this is amazing. You need to be on Shark Tank. I was on Shark Tank. I'm going to like reach out to the main executive producer and tell him about you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I had never really thought about it, but sure. So anyways, the executive producer reaches out to me and is like, hey, I would love to talk with you. So we do a phone call, emailing, things like that. It goes really well. He's like, we'd love to cast you. Can you do it this year? And I was like, oh, well, I'm pregnant with my 4th child right now. And they wanted to cast for either June or September of the year. And I was due in July. And I was like, neither of those times are going to be ideal for us. And at this point too, we had basically sold out of all of our products. So I really didn't have the inventory to back going on Shark Tank right then either, or the manufacturing setup in place to really take advantage of it. And so I had told him that, and he's like, okay, yeah, that like totally makes sense. And he's like, well, he sent over documents for us to sign if we want, like to just keep moving forward anyways. But we thought about it and we're like, we're just going to hold off for right now and really maybe take that opportunity when it feels like perfect timing rather than just, I don't know, going on national TV, like super pregnant or just recently postpartum doesn't sound ideal. And then also just like not having the inventory to back what type of, exposure you could get didn't seem smart either. And so we are at this point where like we could totally reach out, and he's told us to reach out whenever we feel ready to be casted. So that's where we land right now.
Okay. Taking a quick break from the episode. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to take a second and thank the great team at Pod Allies that helps me produce this podcast. Startups with Stu is not an easy undertaking. It takes a lot of work and team power to get this thing done. So the team I use for my podcast, podallies.com, go check them out. If you are considering a podcast, if you've thought you have a dream for a show and you want to go make it happen, go to podallies.com and book a strategy call today. I promise you won't regret it. Speaking of the show or shows, let's get back to Startups with Stu in this episode. Forgive my interruption, but if you're interested, go check out podallies.com.
You are amazing. There are very few women that in the middle of childbearing years are also hustling a startup. So good for you in doing that. What have been some of the struggles of that life of raising children and starting a business?
Oh,
And how did you
yeah.
overcome it? I think that's important too to understand.
Yeah, totally. Well, okay. So this is where our story kind of gets a little interesting is we've had to put things on pause occasionally and for reasons because so with my fourth, like I had some major complications with my pregnancy and stuff. Like I was getting like stroke symptoms, like it was just really, really bad. And the doctors basically told me they're like, hey, your body's freaking out being pregnant. And I think it's because I was older at that point too. But they were like, you have to put everything on pause. Like you just literally have to. Like it's going to be so many problems for you if you don't. And so we had to step back from our business for a little bit. My husband lost his job twice during that time, which was also really hard. We didn't see it coming. He'd been with the company for 9 years and was one of their managers. It was just we were so blindsided by that. But it was like our income stopped. My brother, who had helped us a little financially with our business as well, got deployed to Poland because he's in the National Guard. He was gone for a year. My father-in-law's business was kind of like taking a slow turn right then as well. So like no one had the resources to really like jump in and save the day with like inventory. We had been sold out at that point. We had still opportunities coming to us, but we just didn't have the funds to really like take advantage of the opportunities, as well as just like for health reasons, it was like I had to slow down. So I think that's the thing with like, you have to know yourself when you can really ramp up and when you have to like take a few steps back and like go at your own, like a smart pace so that you don't get like burnout major and want to just quit fully because that's never been like an option for us. We're never going to not do this. It's just how we get there, is so important. And I'm not willing to like sacrifice my family fully for that either. You have to be able to like spend time with your kids and like show them you care and show up to their games and things like that. You have to find some type of balance because if not, entrepreneurship will wreck you. It's an emotional roller coaster big time. So
for sure,
you have to stay grounded in whatever ways you can, whether that's like, dropping, I don't know, taking your kids to the games, going and working out, like taking a day or two off, just like reset because you need that.
So I would say that one of the biggest advantages of fundraising for you, Whitney, is that it can open up your time to only focus on the things that Whitney is needed for.
Yes.
Because right now you have to wear all the hats and manage inventory and continue to develop and improve the product and create the content that gets people looking and considering the product. And it's just a lot that's on your plate when you're in the beginning stages of a startup. And you've like, because you've been building your family simultaneously, both of them grow at the pace they can grow. And it takes 9 months to make a baby and it takes 9 months to get a product out of it. Like these things do take time. And
totally.
I would say that how old's your youngest now, did you say?
A year and a half.
Okay, cool. So yeah, like, and you guys, is that the caboose? Are you guys done at 4?
Oh yeah, we're done. Trust me. I'm like, there's no way I could like do more. Plus I'm just so ready. We're both so ready to run with our business at as like high of a capacity as we possibly can right now. It just wouldn't make sense for us to have any more kids, and we're very happy with our 4. It's great. It's been the perfect little caboose. She's been so cute. So.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
We have fun as well. And
awesome.
All the success in the world, I would take it away from myself for being able to have my wife and kids. So I think as someone who's been there and done that and had the big paydays, like I can tell you that you've put your priorities on what really matters most, and you'll be forever grateful for that. My 95-year-old grandpa is literally in his dying bed right now, and he has dozens of grandkids, and between grands and greats, it's like over 100 grandkids that are all taking turns flying into town to tell him goodbye. And he does not care about how much money he made in this life. And he doesn't get to take any of that with him anyways.
And
so
it's
true.
been a good reminder for me to see that. So as it relates to funding and timing, if you have trouble getting inventory and you don't have trouble getting sales, that is a really good indicator. You need some money. You need to raise some money. Sometimes you can get an SBA loan. I would guess that if you have pre-orders for large orders from retailers, that you can get an SBA loan against those pre-orders. And then you can get, that's debt instead of giving up equity. So there's value in that. There's so many things to consider, and we have to wrap this episode up in such short notice here. But I think it might be fun to have a second episode dedicated specifically to like diving into the details of the game of raising money and when's the right time and how much to raise. It'd be fun to like strategize with you and use that as an episode that also gets the word out about the amazing design that is the magnetic hair design. Let's take a second and show everyone the product. So
yeah, for sure. So I can show you, like, I'll show you one of my side pieces really fast. Here, let me see. Okay, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you loud and clear. Yep.
Okay, great. So all you do, it's so easy, is you'll just section your hair off, you slide them apart, and they'll come right out. And you can see what that looks like. They're just magnetic. And all you do is take a section of hair, place one underneath and one on top, and that's it. And then they're in, and they're like super strong. They don't slide out. They can fold with your hair. They're really super easy. They're 100% human Remy hair. So you can like color them, cut them, curl them, do anything to it.
Are they heavy?
No, they're actually really lightweight, which is surprising.
Right. Yeah. You would think like, oh, and by the way, I can't even tell they're there now, which is
cool. Good. Well, that's great. That's the goal, right?
But I'm blown away that they're so lightweight. That's so cool. What are some of the are you having struggles getting the sales? Has that been an issue, or do you always run out of inventory?
Oh no, we don't struggle getting the sales. That's not hard. Like we'd go to a trade show and we'd sell out. Like it was just everything that's been like that. It's all been word of mouth for the most part. We've hardly touched social media. We're actually starting to really ramp up social media right now, but it's all sales have come so easy. And it's so nice because it's not even a product when I go places or tell people about, I don't even have to convince anyone into anything. I literally just show them what I'm wearing and they're like, holy crap, where's this been my whole life? I need this. I'm like, awesome. Yeah, that's great. And so it's really, yeah, it's been the easiest sell. It's just keeping inventory on the shelves is hard. And so that's where, and then just because we are bootstrapping, it's like we've had patent costs, we've had so many different costs that take away from rebuying inventory. And then we had the tariff situation just recently. So now we were trying to decide if we were going to pivot to a different country, or are we going to keep it here in the US, or are we going to, like, what are we doing with that? So we're kind of in the mass manufacturing setup right now phase. So we can hopefully grow and scale really quickly and not run into too many inventory issues as we can fund the inventory. So,
well, I mean, if you can get on Shark Tank, 1,000% yours is the product for Shark Tank. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason the executive producer was willing to hop on a call. Like, you need to find your way there. I think that will be a game changer for you if you can make that happen with or without a deal. You're going to give up a little equity either way, but without a deal, it's still like such a power move to have been on the show for the brand recognition that you get from it. So I hope that works out. And then if I were to give everyone listening and you, Whitney, one last piece of advice here, it's that in entrepreneurship, there is going to be another hurdle and then another hurdle and then another hurdle. And so you need to keep identifying the next hurdle and be in step to jump right over it, and then get in a rhythm where you don't get to a hurdle and go, okay, this is a stopping point for a while. Like, obviously you had so many reasons why that was right for the stage you were in. And if you're saying it's time to go, then you've got to go and you've got to stay in step so you can go hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. I've found in growing a business from 0 to 160 employees and a 9-figure valuation that there's always another hurdle. There's never a finish line on hurdles. And so the business grows, evolves, and the hurdles
are a lot less scary over time, and you have more people to take turns in the relay race of stepping over those hurdles. But like, keep getting the people around you that can help you get going over hurdle after hurdle, and you're going to succeed. It's going to be so fun. Whitney Rigby, you have a new fan in Stuart Draper, and I'm happy to help wherever I can in the business. And thank you again for coming on Startups with Stu, where we help take founders, startups to the moon.
I love it. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Hey, founders, entrepreneurs, investors, and other listeners of Startups with Stu. Thank you for listening to this episode today. As I mentioned at the beginning, as I mentioned in the middle, I want to take a second again at the end and say, if you haven't yet and you're considering a podcast, go check out podallies.com. They sure help me a lot with the show. And I am so grateful for all that they do to help me accomplish Startups with Stu and get it out to the world so we can help more founders and take your startup to the moon. Go check out podallies.com and podup.com if you're interested in podcasting at any level.
Thanks for joining me on Startups with Stu. We have big goals to help millions of entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed this show, please take a minute to share it with someone else that needs to hear it, or leave a review. Remember, success is within reach for those who dare to dream big and take action. Until next time, keep pushing forward on your entrepreneurial journey.